The Lagos Free Zone project is an epochal initiative which successful completion foretells good news for the Nigerian economy, and it will raise Nigeria's current ranking in the Ease of Doing Business Index and thus help attract investments from both within and without for the country. Good evening, my name is Chinemerem Joseph and I welcome you to today's edition of You and the Economy. The Lagos Free Zone project is an initiative of the Singapore-based Tolaram Group, which is one of the foremost players in Nigeria's economy, and its subsidiary, the Lagos Free Zone Company, handles the execution of the project. The game-changing project, which is located 65 kilometers east of Lagos Metropolis in the Lekki corridor of Lagos State, is supported by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is one of its major financiers in the country. In the first episode of this review of the milestones recorded so far in the execution of the Lagos Free Zone project, you were told that its core components are an industrial park, which comprises a standard industrial facility, a manufacturing cluster, warehouses, a truck park, and residential towers, while the Lekki Deep Seaport is its second core component. Phase 1 of the Seaport project, which is currently nearing completion, shall birth the first deep seaport in Nigeria, and it sits on 90 hectares of land in the zone. In the maiden episode on the Lagos Free Zone, the progress made in the execution of its industrial park component came under the spotlight, and you saw that the deliverables of the component were already being realized. As we had promised, we now bring you a situation report on the advances made in the execution of the Lekki Deep Seaport component of the Lagos Free Zone project, due to be completed in September 2022, and which is also poised to commence commercial operations in the first quarter of 2023. Here now is our report. Happy viewing.
This is a drone footage assessing the status of job execution at the site of the Lekki Deep Seaport, the flagship of the Lagos Free Zone initiative. The image was filmed sometime in early March 2022. And here are yet some other images of the site of the same project filmed at the ground level on professional television broadcast standard video camera, also in early March 2022. Regardless of the height or angle at which they were filmed, images of current development at the sites of the Lekki Deep Seaport project speak to the impressive milestones already recorded in construction work ongoing at the expansive site. The images also underscore the robust and unwavering commitment of the Tolaram Group, the core promoters of the Lagos Free Zone project, to delivering the first phase of the Deep Seaport project by September 2022, the targeted dates for the completion of the construction of this critical component of the Lagos Free Zone project prior to its commencement of commercial operations in the first quarter of 2023. To say Lagos State, and by extension the Nigerian economy, requires a more functional seaport in the country's commercial capital is indeed an understatement. For it is a well-known fact that in the past couple of years, transacting import-export trade businesses through the Apapa and Tinkan Island ports, the two foremost and most active seaports in Nigeria, has remained a nightmare. This harrowing experience of importers and exporters alike has continued to impact adversely on the Nigerian economy, while also threatening the continued survival of several businesses in the country's import-export trade sector. Therefore, when the idea of the Lekki Deep Sea Port project was mooted, many stakeholders in the import-export trade sector, as well as the allied maritime sector, had counted on the promise to complete its construction speedily for the arrival of the much-awaited dawn of seamless transaction of businesses in at least one large port in the state. At the end of a tour of the Lagos Free Zone he undertook recently, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, reiterated the significance of the Lekki Deep Sea Port projects in the efforts to tackle the lingering bottlenecks hobbling the Nigerian economy as a result of the massive congestion at the Lagos port of Apapa and Tinkan Island. He also reaffirmed the importance of the project for meeting the high expectations in numerous quarters, both in and out of government, that an alternative platform be created which shall allow for import-export trade to be conducted in the state and, by extension, Nigeria, with greater ease.
I'm sure you all know that one of the biggest problems in Nigeria today is congestion at Apapa and Tinkan Island port. We have been crying about what needs to be done to decongest Apapa and Tinkan Island. In fact, it got to a point where Mr. President gave a mandate that it must be cleared. But because of certain structural problems in that Apapa and Tinkan area, we have not been able to clear those congestion. So it really that we are seeing that your port will be commencing operation sometime around September this year is something that gladdens our heart, because it will help to totally decongest the problems that we have in Apapa and Tinkan, which are really at the center of Lagos. And we have been clamoring that there is need for us to have more ports where goods can come in easily and go, and then export can also go out easily without any hindrance, in line with the way it's done in different parts of the world. And seeing what I have seen today about your port operation that is about to commence in September, I'm truly salivating to see that this starts as quickly as possible.
Going by the findings of You and the Economy during successive project assessment tours of the Lagos Free Zone by our crew recently, the righteous optimism that the construction of the Lekki Deep Sea Port will be completed by September 2022 is well-founded. Due to the heavy nature and massive size of most of the machinery and equipment used for operations at a seaport, and the equally heavy weight of most of the containers discharged and stored at the location, an unusually huge volume of concrete is dispended either directly at designated locations or in producing platforms required to lay or install the sub and superstructures required to construct and operate a standard seaport. This is to ensure that the complex is strong enough to withstand the rigors of seaport operations. That's why the level and pace of activity at the location usually designated as concrete yard at a typical seaport construction site is perhaps one of the best indicators of the level of seriousness attached to meeting the deadline set for completing the project. This is the concrete yard of the Lekki Deep Sea Port project. The lightning pace of activity at the concrete yard offers resounding evidence that the targeted completion date of the project will be met. Here, the colossal volume of concrete required to bring the project to fruition is churned out ceaselessly without let or hindrance, speaking to the fact that the project is on an unassailable course in its march to its completion date. Today, practically all aspects of construction and installation work that require concrete at the project site have reached an advanced stage. A good example is this wide expanse of the project site, a larger percentage of which shall serve as a container terminal of the port when completed. The wide area is already set out in thick concrete that have the strength and endurance capacity to carry the multitude of containers to be stacked in the yard. This was done after the initial dynamic compaction of the underlying soil to create a dense foundation for structures required for seaport operations was completed. Impressive progress has also been made in constructing the concrete jetty designated for anchoring the ships that will be berthing at the port. And here too is construction work ongoing at the location of the Marine Services Jetty at the harbour of the seaport. This jetty will be used as staging posts for the operations of the tugboats that shall tow ships through the approach channel of the port to berth at its harbour or cast off from the location. After this ongoing installation of the steel beams that will fortify the foundation is complete, concrete will be dispensed on the platform to complete the construction of the Marine Services Jetty. And here is the all-important harbour area of the port, the critical operational area of the port which borders the waterfront, where incoming ships shall berth, and the buffer between the waterfront and the container terminal usually located opposite it. And there are other milestones already attained in the building of the Lekki Deep Sea Port that offer iron-cast reassurance to the doubting Thomas, if any at all, that the project will not go the way of many otherwise laudable initiatives in Nigeria, which typically begin with so much fanfare, offering great hopes, but end up being abandoned. Let's now examine some of such critical milestones which further attest to the fact that there is no stopping the completion of the Lekki Deep Sea Port project. These massive blocks, known in maritime parlance as X-blocks, are critical to the successful completion of a seaport construction project. And they are products of the concrete yard of that project where they are fabricated. X-blocks are heavyweight concrete substructures, specially molded in a way that enables them to withstand sea waves. The humongous blocks, which derive their name from their shape, which bears semblance to the letter X alphabet, are installed on the seabed in the harbour ways in layers upwards and act like a pillar or foundation of sorts on which a critical superstructure for constructing a seaport, which is known as the breakwater, stands. The breakwater itself is a long column of huge boulders of granite rock arranged on the waters from the harbour side towards the approach channel of a port through which incoming ships sail into the harbour. The breakwater stands on an array of X-blocks that had been installed underneath them, which are used to hold the columns solidly in place so that they do not pull apart or disintegrate. As the name of the column suggests, it breaks the sea waves that would have normally assailed the approach channel through which ships access the harbour or jetty from the seaside. The combination of the X-blocks and huge boulders of granite rock that forms the breakwater thus work together to safeguard the approach channel and harbour. The sheer numbers of X-blocks already produced at the concrete yard and ready for use, and the long length of the main breakwater already installed and standing firm on the waters around the west end of the Lekki Deep Sea Port project site further reinforce the assurance that the construction of the seaport is on course and its project completion date will be met. To berth at the jetty of a port, ships require smooth passage through the approach channel that leads into that port. And to facilitate this, unwanted silt accumulation, known in layman's language as sand accumulation, must be removed from the bottom of a waterway in the approach channel leading into the harbour to allow for very deep vessels to access the port. And this is one of the tasks being performed by this big dredger that is deployed on the harbour side of the channel of the Lekki Deep Sea Port projects, thus signifying that all is set for the project to come on stream. The vast volume of sand evacuated by the dredger is also used in sand filling specified locations on the project site. Since ports are operated by personnel who work in offices at the port location, the progress made in constructing the offices to be used by the personnel of the various stakeholders who shall operate the Lekki Deep Sea Port is yet another yardstick in determining whether the targeted project completion date is realistic. It is noteworthy that this is yet another readiness test that the Lekki Deep Sea Port project has passed resoundingly. As the videos you've seen in this segment show, the construction of the office buildings for the personnel of the various agencies and organizations that shall operate the Lekki Deep Sea Port has attained impressive stages of completion. In all, with the well-coordinated activities ongoing at its construction site, there is every good reason to be naturally optimistic that, all things being equal, the construction of the Lekki Deep Sea Port will be completed in September 2022, as projected by its promoters.
The port is also one of the major reasons why we came to the free zone. Like I mentioned earlier, we're very particular about a platform or a gateway to the entire West African market. You know, us being very close to our customers across West Africa, and I think for us the port is the right infrastructure that would allow us to do that. So we look forward, you know, to when the port will become operational and be able to serve, you know, from our RBA in the free zone, all of our customers across West Africa.
In an impressive display of deep foresight and sharp vision, the Lagos Free Zone Company, which handles the execution of the Lagos Free Zone project, have foreseen a critical challenge that the flagship of the project, the Lekki Deep Sea Port, is likely to contend with when it commences commercial operations in the first quarter of 2023. They are therefore already making moves to tackle this potentially hobbling challenge even before the seaport project comes on stream. That problem, the threat posed by the persistent traffic holdup along the Lekki axis of Lagos to the seamless evacuation of the cargo to be discharged at the port from the Lagos Free Zone to the city of Lagos, the commercial capital of the country. This threat is genuine and profound because only one major highway artery services commutes between the corridor in which the port is located and the city of Lagos, and that is the ever-busy Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. The Lagos Free Zone Company has therefore been engaging appropriate government agencies and the other stakeholders, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, a key domestic financier of the Lekki Free Zone project, to resolve this challenge. At a press briefing to wrap up his tour of the Lagos Free Zone recently, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele acknowledged that the Lagos Free Zone Company had already approached the Apex Bank to seek support in tackling this looming problem. Emefiele offered his assurance that the CBN will leverage on the platform of its newly established Infrastructure Corporation, Infraco, and the immense goodwill that the Apex Bank enjoys with the federal government, as well as the Lagos State government, to intervene in and resolve the already foreseen challenge.
So now the big issue again here is evacuating the cargo out of the port area. That's another prayer you were talking about, and I saw the map, and I believe we should be able to work with Infraco is shared by the Central Bank of Nigeria. We are currently in a drive to raise almost about 15 trillion naira to fund infrastructure. So since what you're talking about evacuating cargo out of here is about infrastructure, road infrastructure, I will be engaging with the Lagos State government as well as Federal Ministry of Works to see how Infraco can, because I know what will be the big challenge in their mind will be funding challenges for those roads infrastructure, and I believe with Infraco we should be one of those that we can work with not only Lagos State government but also the federal government through Federal Ministry of Works and Housing about how we can provide some kind of road infrastructure, even if it's under a tolling arrangement, whether it's under some kind of build, operate and transfer arrangement, where the builders or those who fund the financiers of the road can recover their investment and maybe later hand it over to government. But the important thing is that to make this really a viable proposition, together with the Dangote refinery that is about to take off again later this year, it is not possible for us to operate with just only the existing road here. Life is already very difficult, I know, for people living along the Lagos Island and Lekki corridor, and I know with this it's going to be terrible and much worse. And that's why Infraco will be working we'll be discussing with the Lagos State government and the federal government through Federal Ministry of Works and Housing as to what can be done to really resolve the problem of evacuation along this corridor.
It is comforting that in addition to the assurances offered by the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria that necessary interventions will be offered to tackle the matter, the concerns of the Lagos Free Zone Company for the smooth evacuation of the cargo to be handled by the Lekki Deep Sea Port have received further attention at the highest level of government in Nigeria. During a brief stopover at the Lagos Free Zone on his recent trip to the Lekki corridor of Lagos State, where he commissioned the Dangote fertilizer plant, which location adjoins the Lagos Free Zone, President Muhammadu Buhari directed Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, seen here briefing President Buhari at the site of the Deep Sea Port project, to consult and bring up a memorandum to the Federal Executive Council to link the facility with Nigeria's railway network, which is currently being expanded and modernized by the federal government. The President was impressed by the progress made in the execution of the project and received firm assurances that it will be completed in September 2022. It is heartwarming indeed that the Lekki Deep Sea Port of the Lagos Free Zone initiative, that was largely considered a pipe dream when it was conceived, is now being looked up to as a veritable platform for raising Nigeria's profile in the Global Ease of Doing Business Index, and is also set to live up to its billing as the gateway to a new frontier in international trade for Nigeria. And this has been to the joy and satisfaction of its promoters, as well as the CBN, which supported the Lekki Free Zone initiative, the kicker of the Deep Sea Port projects, with resolute conviction.
We have been able to deliver what we had promised. One was a particular reason was about the support which we got from the Central Bank of Nigeria. So I would say to develop the economy, to get the real benefit of made in Nigeria product, the efforts which have been taken by CBN is commendable, and that should continue.
And I was telling Haresh in the course of the tour that at the time when this whole project started, I did not believe he was serious about it. And I was telling myself, how will this happen? How will this happen? But I feel happy today that after almost about 15 years, we are seeing what you have done in Nigeria.
It is nice to have you back again. We are sure you enjoyed our focus on the Deep Sea Port project of the Lagos Free Zone. For the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Seaport project shows that the bank is quite visionary in selecting the projects it intervenes in by way of providing financial support. Now, if what you have seen on the two editions we've brought to you so far on the Lagos Free Zone is anything to go by, it is obvious that the bank's association with the project is one that it is immensely proud for. The CBN will even be more proud when the Deep Sea Port comes into commercial operation in the first quarter of 2023. Between the completion of its construction in September 2022 and the first quarter of 2023, the various equipment required to operate the port will be installed, and the organizations that will operate it, along with their staff, shall move into the location. And from all indications, there is nothing stopping the realization of that goal. In a future edition of the program, we shall spotlight the achievements already recorded in providing the facilities that will service all the deliverables of the Lagos Free Zone project. These are its central fire station, a medical center, and a police station. Well, thank you for sharing your time with us, and until we come your way again next week, it's goodbye for now.